So, good morning, everyone who is there. And good morning, Lotus. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. It's good evening here. And it's just, I am so honored to be on here. I guessed the time and I guessed it right. So I'm just so busy kissing my hand that I got the right time.
How great. Yeah, but nowadays it's easy to find it on Google what the time is. Like the,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Well, yeah. Well, I had to do some calculations on the site that I got. And that I also have a friend who I just got off the phone with, and I said, here, I'm going to send you a link. Come and join us. I'm sure Monica won't mind. She's a lady who, it's through her that I had discovered, hang on a second, this is really not fair to you.
Yeah.
Hi. And it was through her that I learned about the Sri Aurobindo, when actually Savitri meetings is what they started there. And so Rick used to read Sri Aurobindo at her home. And I found that it was really, this is Shani who is connecting now.
Okay, that's your friend.
And
Okay.
yeah, she it was through her house that she has got a place that she calls Aspirant House. And that really is all about Sweet Mother.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah,
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you for joining, and thank you, Shanbi, to be. Yeah.
Thank you, Lotus. Thank you very much.
And good morning to Sulakshana ji also, who is joining us here from India. So let us start. I'll just put the, yeah, maybe before I start the guided meditation, which we'll be listening to, just a bit about Tonglen, which we have talked about earlier in our sessions many a times. It's a Buddhist practice of giving and taking. And when I got to know about it, I really resonated with it very, very deeply. Why? Because somehow I felt that it took the focus off from my own self. Like usually we are always worried about my expectations from life, my demands and my needs, my desires, which are not which are unfulfilled. But in this practice, I was able to use my own condition wherever I was. Maybe I was not too good today, so I would connect with my not too goodness. I would connect with my body, with the state of mind. And with this connection, I would feel the pain of all others who go through similar states, for example. And then I would inhale that pain, the suffering of all others who are in this state of confusion, or maybe a physical pain, emotional, mental torture, what happens to human beings from time to time, mostly self-inflicted, and yet we can make use of that. So that really gave me a deep sense of, I would say that I can make use of this suffering maybe, right? So, and immediately as I would begin the process, inhale, connecting with my own suffering and getting in touch with others suffering in the process, and sending them out happiness and joy and simplicity of the present moment. So like exchanging, as I said, Tonglen means exchanging. So I take in your suffering, take in everyone's suffering, and I exchange it for happiness and joy. Now in the beginning, people may feel afraid of how can I take others suffering when I myself am not doing very well. But somehow the magic lies here, that when we expand our hearts to take in more than we can imagine, we are connected with a source which is more powerful, and we can take in that suffering and exchange it for joy and happiness. So this really resonated with me, still resonates with me. And I see that whether or not it makes a tangible difference outside, wherever I may be expecting, it does make a tangible difference within my being. It shifts my consciousness from the ego consciousness mostly, which works on a sense of lack to a sense of fulfillment, that I am okay and I'm taken care of, and hence I can offer my, this presence and whatever little work I can do. So we'll be listening to a guided meditation by Pema Chodron, who has really shared many variations on Tonglen. On YouTube, there are many talks by her. So we'll be starting to listen to her, and as she guides us, first she instructs and then she guides us into a kind of a guided meditation. We'll just follow her instruction, and later on towards the end we can have a few uh, I don't know, rounds of reflection. If there are any questions, we can take them. So this is what we are going to start with, and this is again just one variation of Tonglen. There would be many others also.
I'd like to speak on the subject of Tonglen. I'd like to begin right away by reviewing the technique that was taught to the students of Trungpa Rinpoche, that he taught to his students. And this is the form of Tonglen that I have always taught, and that is taught here at Gampo Abbey. And I make this preface because there is actually, even though the essence of Tonglen is always the same, there's many different ways of teaching it, slightly different versions, some of which I'm going to present. So the technique is said to have 4 stages, and sometimes it's thought of as 3 stages, with the third part having like 2 parts, just to make it more Buddhist. And the third part of the fourth part has 6 parts. No, not really, I'm just kidding. So the first is taught as just touching in with stillness or openness of mind, just touching in. And the way Trungpa Rinpoche used to express that is just a flash of absolute bodhicitta. Now, often when that is taught and that instruction is given, people really don't have a sense at all of what that might mean. So Rinpoche suggested that when we're doing formal meditation, that we listen to the gong as a way of just looking straight ahead. Just listen to the gong at the beginning of the Tonglen as a way of just resting your mind, some kind of openness and stillness. So if you would all just sit up and look straight ahead and just listen to the sound of the gong as if this were the beginning of your Tonglen practice. You've been meditating. Maybe there's already some openness. Maybe the gong shocks you into some openness out of your fantasy world. But in any case, seize that sort of moment and look straight out and listen to the sound of the gong almost until it's gone. And when it begins to die out, then begin breathing in the quality or texture of claustrophobia, usually described as dark, thick, and heavy. Sometimes also say hot. Breathing it in. Breathing out the texture or quality of spaciousness. Clear, light, fresh. So one breathes in, claustrophobia in this form of a visualization. And one can breathe that into your whole body, taking it into your whole body, or one can breathe it into the heart, sense of this more concentrated, claustrophobic, dark, hot, heavy, thick breathing it into the heart or the whole body, either way. But in either case, when you breathe in, there's a sense of opening. Sometimes the image is used of the heart widening, getting very, very large so that you could take in any amount of claustrophobia because you just expand as much as you can. So in a way, it's an exercise of opening the heart to what we usually want to push away. So visualizing the dark, heavy, hot coming in, visualizing clear, white, cool, refreshing going out. It's a very thorough sending out, like sending it out from all the pores of your body, radiating it out. And during this stage, your eyes can be open or closed. The Lojong slogan is to practice taking and sending on the medium of the breath. So that's to say you synchronize this with your breath. Your breath coming in brings in the heavy, hot claustrophobia. Breath going out radiates out, clear, light, bright, refreshing. And you just do this for a while, breathing in and out until it feels synchronized with the breath, doing this visualization. Also, the breath can be manipulated. You can breathe in very deeply and send out very fully, but always give the in-breath and the out-breath equal time. That's important. So you do that for a while. There's no designated time, but until it feels synchronized. And then you move on to what is considered the main part of the practice. And here you use a specific object. The other day I suggested that people do Tonglen for their mother. So it would go like this. Breathing in, you take away from your mother anything that you feel, and your mother can have already died. That's all right. It doesn't really matter. Just to have a visualization or hold the face or the name of your mother, taking away from her, breathing in from her anything that you feel used to cause her distress or currently causes her distress. And sending out relief in whatever form you wish. Which is to say, sometimes people say the word compassion or the word strength or the word happiness or something like this, contentment, and it means something to them. It's not just abstract. That word has emotional meaning. But other times that people find words too abstract, and so instead they will send something that they feel their mother that would make their mother happy, such as beautiful flowers or a lovely day or anything really. But the idea is to send something that would produce well-being and let your mother be happy and relaxed and free of suffering. So the in-breath really is the compassion breath. You're wishing your mother to be free of suffering. The out-breath is the loving-kindness breath. You're wishing her to be happy and at ease. So in this main part of Tonglen, no matter who you're doing it for, it's always you always try to have it be as real and personal as possible. Now, I chose mother because in our culture, mother is often very loaded. And so I knew in a room this size, there might actually be very few who could really do it for their mother easily and with a good heart and goodwill. And there would be a larger number in a group in the West who would feel much more complicated, anything from confused and kind of ambiguous feelings to actual dislike, which even that could be maybe too gentle a word. So knowing that, I said, if in doing the practice for your mother you find it blocked in some way, by your genuine emotions. Don't feel that you have failed. Instead, just shift the focus of the Tonglen and begin to do Tonglen with your feelings. So in other words, suppose you're feeling fear or anger, irritation, resentment, anything like this. Breathe in that feeling. Breathe it in completely. I personally like the idea of breathing it into the heart. That's how I usually do it. And making the heart very large. But you can also just breathe it into your whole being. That feeling, breathe it in and then send out relief. Whatever you feel is needed. But then we come to the important next stage, which is considered the expansion stage. And this is either considered as a fourth stage, or I actually like to think of it as part of the third stage. It's almost simultaneous as doing it for yourself or doing it for your mother, and that is you expand. So for instance, if you breathe in the troubled feelings that you're having and send out relief, then you start breathing in for all the people who are in this kind of conflicted relationship with their parents or loved ones and sending out relief to all of them, so that your very personal experience that you're having right on the spot, which you might feel ashamed of, these feelings, but instead of them being an obstacle, they actually become the basis of maitri for yourself and compassion for other people in the same boat. Likewise, if you're just simply doing it for your mother and it's a genuine, open heart, you can feel the heart opening and you find it easy to do and actually rewarding to do, then as quite quickly you also do it for all the other mothers or all the other people that are in your mother's situation, maybe that are very ill, so as your mother is, or very, very depressed as your mother is, or very maybe holding some kind of a grudge. We'll do it for all the other Jewish mothers.
So as we shared that there are many variations to the practice, Tonglen practice, which is giving and taking in the suffering of others and giving out whatever resonates with you. Maybe happiness resonates with you, or relief, or content. You can use any word as she was sharing. So, and the beauty is that this can be done any time. You may be sitting at the airports, maybe you look at people around and you sense a certain maybe tension at the time, maybe some conversation is happening and you see some violence, or maybe anything that you fear that you see that it's disturbing. And if you connect with that pain, you can take in that pain and give away, rejoice, and simplicity of lightness of the moment. When we are fully present in the here and now, we are light, we are very happy. So that lightness of the moment, solidity. And the other way, as she was sharing, is that if I am going through something, maybe I'm going through a relationship breaking, for example, and it's hard, and immediately I get in touch with my own pain and suffering of losing a relationship, or maybe losing a loved one, for example. If we connect with our own suffering very truly in the heart, I don't run away from that suffering, then I can say to myself, oh, this is how I feel, everybody feels. This is how we grieve when something breaks, when we let go of people or relationship or work or anything. Now I understand the pain of the other person's going through this, and using my pain to connect with the pain of all others in the similar kind of a phase, and inhaling that in with the in breath, and exhaling uh, goodness and content and joy out for all of them. So this is another variation. And one of the variations, again, alternate that she suggested, that maybe use any object and do it for that, any object of meditation. So I can connect with my own mother, which is a beautiful, I think, way to start. And I inhale whatever resistances, whatever insecurities, whatever suffering she may be having, inhaling it in with the in breath and exhaling out for her contentment and deep peace and joy and progress. And in the beginning, we may feel resistance, that the moment I sit imagining my mother, I feel a resistance. And it is okay to feel the resistance, because ego would not like to breathe in uh, the suffering of others. So it's okay to have that resistance. And in spite of that resistance, if I still take in all my goodness, in all my good heart, taking in, as Pema was sharing, that it expands our hearts and it breaks away and shatters away that, dissolves away that resistance. So this, I think, is just take your time and practice with it. I feel that this is very, very, I would say, urgent also, Tonglen, if more of us do this. And practice itself is very beautiful. It shifts the consciousness from usually an egoistic state of mind, which is always demanding and expecting for itself, rather than now I'm ready and I want to just offer my presence to the world in a little way. So it really shifts the consciousness. So any few comments, any reflections? We have some time if anyone wants to share any doubts, any questions. So this, as I shared, that this can be done anywhere. I've experienced going to a meeting and doing it there. So my role was not that much in the meeting. I did not have to speak, but I could sense the tension in the meeting between the two groups which were meeting. So the beauty is that you don't have to, nobody knows that you are doing it, right? So it's like you inhale the tensions of both the parties, you inhale your own anxiety about your meeting, whatever the meeting is happening, and you exhale that may this meeting go well in a positive direction and may it benefit everyone. And I think it really works very well. First of all, it changes my own anxiety and insecurity, and secondly, it doesn't do any harm, does only good, and people don't even know, and the work gets done. So that also takes care uh, usually of the egoistic state of mind, because it always wants attention, attention, attention. So in the meeting, you may not be the person who is speaking the lot, but you've done your job, you've done your part. So that also, for those of us who go out to work and attend meetings and interact with people, even in family gatherings, if you see something is not right, or maybe something goes sour very soon, so you can inhale that insecurity, resistance, or that sourness. One can inhale and exhale harmony and beauty in relationships. So again, as I said, that there are many variations one can try. Yes, Lotus.
My mother died 25 years ago, and I was very surprised at how vivid her face came up, and her the different pictures that I remember of her, and the compassion I felt for her, because she came from China to Canada when she was 39 years old, never having worked a day in her life, and having escaped from the communists and losing all of everything, including all her maids and servants, sort of thing. And I hadn't really done that for my mother before, which was to take in the fear. to take in the anxiety. And it was really very good. And to be able to do that, I really got into it. And then there has to be other mothers that have experienced that at the same time. And so as I think more of it, I certainly will now sit with it a bit more, because there are other aspects of her life that I realize that she could use some of that energy, even though she's passed, and certainly to be able to take it along for other mothers in that situation. That's beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Yes. And also, we have to realize that there is, when we take stance as this goodness, consciousness, there is no past, present, future. So, as you shared, that mother is not there in physical anymore, but yet the healing happens, because there is no past, present, future when we are taking stance as this consciousness. When we are doing anything in full awareness, we can heal parallelly at all the so-called time levels, which appear like as if, like a vertical stream is going on, and you have left the past and you are in the present, and future is yet to come. So this demarcation happens only when we are limited with our conceptual mind. But we let go of this demarcation when we take more and more stance in our deeper self, deeper being. Then the healing can happen all at once. And this has been also experience of, for example, Anita Moorjani, when she had her near-death experience when she was going through terminal stages of cancer. And that is one of the experiences that she shares, that when she knew herself practically as consciousness, then all the events were happening at once. Future was shown to her once, like present is here, past is here. So we can really doubt and question our this limited mind, usually that we operate with. It's not everything what it shows us. There is something beyond this limited conceptual limited mind, which works on the senses, that oh, it's daytime, oh, it's nighttime. So one can be everywhere at once, and that's our possibility, the higher possibility, that taking stance more and more as consciousness, the presence of awareness, I can be everywhere at once, whether it's different time zones, whether it's different uh, time zones in the sense of past, present, future, or whether it's places, the physical spaces. That so you may be in Pakistan, I may be in India, somebody may be in the US or Canada. It doesn't matter the time zones, if we more and more connect and take stance as consciousness, and the healing can happen at all levels at once. So that's our highest possibility.
It's your intent, is it not?
Sorry?
It's your clear intent.
Absolutely. Yes. 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 Yeah. And we see that, as you said, we see that our intentions mostly are very impure when we start the human journey. When we become conscious of our intentions, we see that there are impurities there. So Tonglen, now that you talk about intent, I feel that Tonglen also purifies our intent, because we get to know whenever there is a resistance, I realize, oh my God, I don't want to take the suffering even of my mother, or even of my spouse, or even of people who I claim to love. So there my intentions also on the way get purified. Yes, definitely.
But isn't that the difference between your lower or your human thinking and your higher self thinking?
Yeah.
So that when you are in a meditative state, your vibration is in the higher state, which allows you a much more abilities of being expansive and loving and compassionate in that state.
In that state, yes. And slowly one can gradually kind of expand even this state, that I don't need just to be sitting in meditation. I can carry this expansion throughout my day. Slowly one can expand this expansion, the state of being. Yeah. So again, it's beautiful, and thank you for sharing and reflecting together on this. It's beautiful, and it's amazing to see our possibilities along with our darknesses and uglinesses that we carry. We also carry amazing possibilities of healing. If only, as Lotus was sharing, that if only we purify the intent, if only I'm now ready to work with a good intent, really pure heart. And that is what is, in Mother's words, it would refer to the psychic being, and in Buddhist terminology it would refer us to the bodhicitta, or the enlightened heart mind. So it doesn't matter what word we use, the basic idea is to the purification from the lower contents, where we start with the lower ones, and transformation into more and more beauty and harmony within and without, which is our higher possibility. And why not to begin right now? Why to wait for some distant future when we can do it right now? So I am done from my side. Is there anything else anyone wants to share? Okay. So again, thank you everyone for joining today, and I'll share the recording later on the group as well. And for those of us who join later, they can listen to what we heard. And happy practice above all, everything, wherever you are, in the middle of work, in the middle of family, all by yourself. I think every place is a good place to practice this. So happy practice to everyone, and thank you for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Bye bye. Take care.